Hey, it's Adam again.
Bryan.
We're going to do a three-way taste test today between three different beers that I know and Bryan doesn't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send him out of the room, tell you what I'm doing, pour the beers, and then we'll get it started. You ready?
I guess. I don't know. I'm a little nervous.
We'll test them.
All right.
All right. What I did was I got my hands on some Heady Topper. You guys all know these, of course. Pliny the Elder and Hi-Res. Heady Topper being from The Alchemist, Pliny the Elder, Russian River, and Hi-Res from 6 Point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour the Heady in the glass labeled A. I'm going to pour the Pliny in the glass labeled B, and I'm going to pour the Hi-Res in the glass labeled C. We're both going to drink them. We're both going to describe them. You know, appearance, taste, aroma, all the good stuff. The difference is I know what's in them, Bryan doesn't. And then we'll give a rating and tell what we like the best. At the end, I will tell you the ABV, and I'm going to ask everything of Bryan. I'm going to ask him the ABVs. I'm going to ask him IBUs. I'm going to ask what type of beer it is. We're just going to really test him today and see if he can just name them all or describe it all. And I may even ask him what beer it is, even though he has no clue even what type we're dealing with. At the end, I'll go through, tell you the IBUs, tell you the ABVs, tell you what the beers are, and we'll do it all live right here. So we'll see you in a minute. Thanks. All right, so I think we're going to get started here, and might as well start with A. What do you think?
Okay.
All right.
A. All right. Let's see. So as far as descriptors, it's got a little bit of a white head to it, slightly off-white. Unfiltered beer, very hazy, opaque, amber in color, or light amber in color.
Almost golden.
Yeah, golden.
What are you smelling?
Oh, wow. That is... Man, that's very hoppy. I smell citrus hops. I smell floral.
That's what I'm getting. I'm getting real citrus.
Yeah, definitely citrusy.
But I mean, I feel like I could put this over here and smell it.
Yeah, it's very strong.
I don't think these are getting in our way here.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You want to go through the aromas or just do glass by glass?
Let's just, I'm not sure. Probably glass by glass.
Okay. All right.
May need to drink water in between.
Cheers.
Then we'll see. Cheers. Cheers. Oh, wow. That is good. So
yeah, I'm hit with...
No, go ahead. I'm going to try another.
Okay, so I'm hit with bitterness to start with. A nice hoppy bitterness. Citrus, but a good, well-balanced, bitter, citrus, strong beer.
I would agree with that. So the bitterness, if I were guessing, I would bet very high on the IBU scale. It depends on whether it's actual tested or whether it's just computed based on their formula. I would bet it's in the 100 plus IBUs.
As far as what citrus flavors, I'm getting like kind of a ripe pineapple. I'm not getting kind of like the grapefruit end of it, the more light citrus. I'm getting more of that the sweeter, stronger sweetness, little piney.
I was going to say orange, but orange, pineapple.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah,
tropical,
sweet
tropical fruits. Again, nice bitterness that hits you pretty strong.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal beer. So as far as rating, I would rate this. Man, it's hard. The funny thing is, if I knew what it was, it might change how I rated it. I would give this 4.75 or 5. I mean, this is a phenomenal beer. Okay. If I were guessing the alcohol, I would guess that this is an Imperial IPA. I would guess in the 9% alcohol range, just guessing, since that's what this test is supposed to do.
I won't give my rating right now, just since I know what it is and I've rated before, but I'll tell you afterwards.
It's a 5. Not even knowing what it is, I got to give it a 5.
Okay.
Am I supposed to guess what it is too?
We'll move on.
All right, good, because I have a guess, but okay. Let me get a little sip of water here. Okay, so B. Head is still there. It's starting to dissipate, but clearly a different beer. You can tell it's filtered very clear, light amber in color. So different hop profile. You can smell the malt through the hops.
Almost get like an apple juice. Not a bad like sour apple, but just kind of a sweet apple.
I wonder if that's the malt though. I wonder if you're smelling the sweetness of the malt, like a Golden Promise or something.
Yeah.
I mean, you can definitely smell a sweetness to it, but as far
not
as
as tropical fruity.
No, it's not at all.
As a. Cheers.
Cheers.
Or do you want to smell some?
Well, here, I'll cheers. You can go and drink it. Since this is designed to put me to the test, I want to describe it a little bit better, just because I'm kind of curious what I'm going to say after I know what it is. So this, I bet they're using Simcoe, because I smell just a little dankness to it, but maybe a slight fruitiness, very mild fruitiness, if at all. That may just be the sweet malt coming through.
Yeah, again, different hop profile. Ooh.
That's good. That's got a really good flavor.
The second sip I got, I took a little bigger drink, much more resinous to me. More piney, earthy, almost spicy, kind of like an oniony flavor to me.
In a good way.
In a good way, oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
hate onions. I don't like onions except for some reason I like onion rings. I think
Onion
that's
powder.
really weird. Or onion powder on your hamburger. That's true. No, I agree. The resinous flavor to it. I mean, it's really good. The malt flavor, you can taste it, but it's more in the background. It's more of the afterthought or aftertaste. It's not. Some IPAs are in your face with the malt, and this is not one of them. This lets the hop shine through.
This to me is dank. This is the difference between a citrusy IPA, sweet citrusy, and your dank. I'm still new to this, but you look up what's a dank IPA. That's what this. I think B is your definition of piney, resinous, spicy, garlicky, oniony. But just delicious, just because it's different, but very delicious.
I would agree with that. Definitely different. They're going for different hop profiles, no doubt about it. This is going for the typical Citra, Amarillo type IPA. This one, I'm not sure if I would call it an Imperial. I don't know. I think I would say this is probably a slightly lower ABV. I would guess 7 to maybe 8% at the highest if I were guessing. IBU though, man, it's hard because.
Just give us a range, maybe 20 IBU range.
So I would bet that this one is in the 80 to maybe 100. I wouldn't put it above 100. I would say around 80 if I were betting. I don't know if I certainly wouldn't give it as high as I wouldn't give it 80 to 100. I'd probably say 70 to 90, with 80 being about average.
Okay.
But the hop aroma is very good. The hop flavor and bitterness is very well blended. There's no off flavors at all. There's no bad aftertaste. I mean, it's very, very good.
It's well done. He nailed it on the head. I mean, it is. Every flavor it mashes, it melds, it goes so well. For me, it's well crafted.
So as far as a rating, man, this is tough because that was a 5, and I think this is just as good, but going for a slightly different style.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have to say I like this one better, so I'll give this one a 4.75. Just because I do.
This is in comparison. You can do 5 plus and 5 if you wanted to.
This is a 5 plus.
And you don't have to. And again, just because it's different, but you can give them all 5s if you wanted to, and then just determine which one you like better.
If I were rating them independently, I would give this a 5. This is a phenomenal IPA.
That's the hard part about when you do a compare. You're always going to give one the highest number, and you do them independently.
Yeah.
But anyway, so let's move on.
Okay.
C.
Let's see. Oh, I guess I should. So again, probably filtered again, very clear, see right through it.
even a darker amber, huh?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit darker.
So these two are similar. A and B are similar colors, maybe, but with filtered versus unfiltered.
I think so.
And then the two filters, you have lighter versus darker in
Yeah.
the amber family.
But it could be this one's bottle conditioned or can conditioned. I have no idea where you got it from, but that could be the other thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so aroma. Oh, I smell the sweet malt. I would almost guarantee this is Golden Promise or a honey malt.
Yeah.
Very sweet. Wow. But I don't get much citrus aroma at all.
No, I'm again more of the piney resinous,
Piney.
which I guess would you refer to West Coast
Yeah.
type profile? I
Yeah.
guess would be the accepted term.
Slightly dank. Cheers.
Go ahead, try. Ooh.
Mm. Okay, so this is a higher ABV for sure. I'm betting this is 10 plus. But boy, that's good.
You know, I said this smelled like apple juice, but this going through them, this is like a sweet, fruity, and not the citrus type fruit, kind of like a apple peach. But it's so sweet. It jumped out at me as being really sweet. I guess that's maybe the malt sweetness.
Yeah, I definitely taste the malt sweetness through this one, and obviously you would expect that with it being slightly darker too. But definitely has a sweeter malt bill. This one does. C does, and I do agree. I get a little hint of apple, maybe not much orange. I don't think at all. I like that. This tastes a lot like Hi-Res, which I haven't had in a while. From 6 Points or 6 Point. If I were betting, I obviously have no idea what these are, but if I were just guessing, I would guess this is Heady. I have no idea what this one is. Pseudo-Sue, maybe it tastes a lot like Pseudo-Sue.
But you remember Pseudo-Sue?
I do remember Pseudo-Sue in the 22-ounce bomber actually was fairly clear. In the can looked like it was unfiltered.
Yeah. The can, Pseudo-Sue?
Or not the can, the 12 ounce.
Yeah.
Sorry, 12 ounce. They're starting to add up. I'll edit that. But this one, I really like that. I'm tasting more honey too, not just honey malt, but more honey.
Yeah. I agree. Once you said it, you hear something, you taste it. That's a good description.
There's no way that
sweet honey.
There's no way Hop Slam would still be this good since it was bottled at the very beginning of the year. So if I would
He's
bet,
analytical. He's trying to think what
I would bet maybe Hi-Res, but boy, that's a phenomenal beer. So as far as rating, and I would definitely say this is a Imperial IPA. I mentioned I would say a 10 plus alcohol. I didn't say what I thought the bitterness was.
That's gonna be a hard one. That's hard.
The problem is
It's so sweet.
Yeah. The more alcohol you get, the harder you have to put a lot more IBUs to mask that.
Right.
Because this one doesn't taste as bitter as either of these two. But I would bet because of the alcohol content, this probably has a pretty high IBU too, where you wouldn't even taste the bitterness. So I would bet this is probably the 80 to 100 range, but if it clocked in at above 100, it wouldn't surprise me a bit. How would I rate that though? I've never heard you got to give your ratings too.
Oh, no, I just want to make sure.
I would say I would give this one. I'd give this one a 4.5. I'd give that one a 4.5. Okay.
All right, so my ratings as well. You've heard my reviews already. A's a 5, B's a 5, and C's a 4.5. That's even before you said it.
Okay.
All right, so this is the reveal to Bryan, and I guess you guys already know, but I'll give the ABVs and the IBUs and the names again. So ABV, 8%. I think you said 9 to 10.
Okay.
So you thought it was a little higher. IBUs were 100. You said 100 to 100 plus, so
okay.
Close. And again, it was an Imperial / double IPA.
Okay.
So good job. B, identical. 8%, ABV, 100 IBUs. I think
Wow.
you said 70, 90.
Yeah.
You said 80 to 100. Again, split hairs. Close enough. Again, C, he was correct again. Higher ABV, higher IBUs. ABV is 10.5% and IBUs are 115. So the big name reveal to Bryan.
All right.
Let's just call him the professor because the man knows what he's doing. So I'm going to go ahead and start here. We're just going to call him the professor. A, Heady Topper. C, Hi-Res.
Really? Are you kidding me?
All right. And I thought about doing Hop Slam, but I thought, well, it was bottled I think the end of January.
Yeah.
The Hi-Res, the one I have, this is at the very end of its drink by date.
Okay.
So it's still fresh, but on the verge of don't drink it anymore. You know, this
Wow.
one, but still pretty fresh. You want to give one more shot on what B is. You just want to throw out a name.
Let's see.
And you can also use a little psychology here. What would I want to test Heady against?
Well, it's not zombie dust. I can
No.
guarantee that.
It's an Imperial.
So then that would be Pliny.
That's Pliny. The man knows what he's doing.
Well, because you're giving me all kinds of hints.
So yes, A, Heady Topper. B, Pliny the Elder. And C, Hi-Res. And so you said originally 1, 2, 3. Is that correct? Or
Yeah, I like this better because I like a more citrus. You know, when I'm making my own beer at home, this is what I'm going for. I've made a Pliny clone, which of course wasn't close to this, but still, it was a good beer. But this is more of a West Coast IPA, and you know, depending on what you like, and I like the more citrusy hop. So
I agree.
this is what I like better.
I rated it the same. 1, 2, and 3. The Pliny I checked beforehand. It was bottled at the end of June, and
Okay.
we're in the mid to end of July, so it's less than a month old. This is even fresher. The Heady is
Wow.
middle of June.
I've never had fresh Heady. The only one I've had before this was 6 months old or more, and this is awesome.
I almost had a "that's what she said" joke.
That was awesome. Wow.
So you want to add anything on?
You know, the good thing is, so these two are so hard to get. You have to either pay out the wazoo for them, or you have to be in the area, or you have to trade for them. And this one from 6 Point, I mean, man, that's a really good beer. And as far as the hop profile, I think the hop profile is closer to Pliny.
Agreed.
And you know, the ABV is a little higher, so you can taste it. I would say this is closer to a hop slam. And I know for some of you, hop slam's hard to get, but you know, this is a phenomenal beer. As far as I know, it's brewed year-round. We'll have to check and then, you know, add comments on the screen later if I'm wrong. But you know, this one's easy to get, and so you know, if you can't get these two,
Yeah,
go for this one.
absolutely. Just an added comment. What do you think? I mean, we never talk about yeast. Do you think yeast has anything to do with this at all? I mean, sometimes I know you brew and you say the yeasts are different. Do you think that could change the taste at all? I mean, there's really no way of knowing for sure.
Well, I mean, I've brewed a Heady clone, I've brewed a Pliny clone, and you know, there are supposed to be different yeasts. You're supposed to actually be able to get the yeast from Heady if you want, and supposedly that's where that yeast came from. They call it the Vermont strain, but so yes, the yeast can make a difference. Some yeast is very neutral, so that it doesn't get in the way of the malt or the hops at all. Whereas some yeast can give you some estery aroma, so that you get the fruity floral aroma. It just depends on what you're going for, and you know, in some cases you want something to be very neutral. And I think the Pliny, I would say, is a very neutral yeast if I were guessing. And again, I am no expert at all, but it seems like there's a little bit of an estery aroma to the Heady, but I could be wrong, and I'm not sure. I would assume that it's unfiltered. Of course, my Heady turned out very unfiltered looking too, but that's because I don't filter. But it could also be the flocculation, because the flocculation, you know, how much the yeast agglutinates and then comes out either in the centrifuge or in if you're filtering, and that can make a big difference to the point where you can even taste the yeast. But I don't taste the yeast here at all. Sometimes you get a little tingle on your tongue. I think when you were trying one of my home brews that had a very low flocculent yeast. You even said, man, I just taste something on my tongue. And I think that was the yeast kind of still in solution. I don't get this at all with Heady. Of course, why would you? It's Heady. You know, it's one of the staples in America. But I don't know if you knew this, and I may have to edit this out, but apparently Heady is increasing their production.
Oh.
Not that they're going to increase their distribution, but they're increasing production.
Nice.
So yeah, that would be nice. Man, that was
Well, again, a good
man. You
a
put
good
me to
little
the test.
experiment, but you did really well, Professor.
Thank you.
And again, as always, if you can't have the beer you love, pay a lot of money for. I'm just kidding.
Whoa, whoa.
I'm just kidding. If you can't have the beer you love the beer you have. Thanks.
See ya.